Team Chaotix, they're detectives!
You want on your side. Man, that was...
Sing it, Lycos!
Oh, God, no, that was so bad. Their ears are dead. I'm sorry, listeners. I have already killed your ears, and we haven't even started. Hey, guys, welcome to another episode of the LoreX podcast, where today we are talking about...
Team Chaotix!
Heck yeah, the guys you want on your side, the Karma Collector, the Ninja,
the Karma
and the Bee.
Collector?
Yeah, in that song, they refer to Vector at one point as the Karma Collector.
The heck? What is he, a force of, like, goodwill or something?
No, what I'm assuming it is, Vector is, because of just how he has a lot of bad karma. That's what I always interpreted it as.
I wonder if it's because Vector the crocodile is so comically tall that his center of mass just makes it inconvenient for him to exist.
Are you trying to say something about tall folk there?
No.
What is happening? Hey, yeah, we're talking about Team Chaotix.
So who the heck is Team Chaotix, and where the heck did they come from?
So, the Team Chaotix, they are Vector the crocodile, SBO the chameleon, and Charmy Bee, and they first were introduced in Knuckles Chaotix. Wasn't it for, like, the Mega Drive?
Yeah, it was for... So Knuckles Chaotix was a game exclusively for the 32X extension of the Sega Mega Drive console.
Oh.
And it was the only Sonic game that was playable with the 32X. Or X32? Yeah, 32X. Depending on where we want to go with this episode, like, we could talk about Team Chaotix, or we could talk about, like, Knuckles Chaotix. I watched some gameplay of Knuckles Chaotix. That game is funky, dude.
Funky
in what regard? It is an interesting-looking game. Dude, its graphics are trippy. It plays around with perspective. It's 3D. The ambiance is super 70s style, dude. Like, I'm talking molecules floating in the abyss, people turning into giant blue discs. It's wild. Very different for a Sonic game.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that you didn't mention, Lycos, is that despite the fact that Team Chaotix is made up of only Charmy, SBO, and Vector, in Knuckles Chaotix, there are actually 7 playable characters. Yeah. Not just the 3 of those guys, but also Knuckles the Echidna.
Mighty.
Yep, Mighty the Armadillo.
Who are the other 2? Is it?
There's also 2 of Eggman's robots.
Oh, so you think
Heavy,
it's Bomb and Heavy.
And you got it.
Yeah, because I did read up on them.
Now, oddly enough,
I'm kind of sad.
How much do you...
There's not a lot of information about those 2, at least on the wiki.
Oh, but there is a little bit in the manual of the game.
Ooh, because I know...
At least I think.
I know the 2 of them, they were a part of Robotnik's Mechanics with an X.
Right.
Of course, they're coming for your brand, dude. Or did you copy them?
Oh, I came far after. But Heavy, the robot, is indeed a part of kind of Eggman's forces. He's Robotnik's chief mechanic. He's just as his name says, heavy, and he's slow. In the game, he's indestructible. Anything that he would bash into would just explode and die, because he's indestructible. And then Bomb also works as another mechanic. He's not very quick or strong, but he blows up when things start looking bleak. I just ripped this from the wiki, which makes quotes from the manual. Quite literally, this character would, if he got hurt, would explode.
Mm-hmm. They were supposed to, like, stop the Chaotix, but for some reason kind of help the Chaotix take out and defeat Eggman. And it's actually kind of sad because, like, after the events of Knuckles Chaotix, we don't know what happened to those 2.
I would imagine that they might have wound up as, like, a scrapnik, I guess.
Maybe. Like, I'm kind of surprised they didn't, like, join Vector, Charmy, and SBO to, you know, like, form the Chaotix. Or, like, Team Chaotix. I think part of that was because when we officially got, like, Team Chaotix, that was Sonic Heroes, which were specifically squads of 3, so trying to have like 5 guys form the team might be a little weird, even though I felt they could have done that a little better because we see them in like their detective agency office. They could have easily done like a, hey, you 2 stay here, keep things running over here, we're gonna go do this job.
Now, I'm inclined to think that they were both more likely scrapped, only because I'm looking at Heavy's wiki page, and not only do they have illustrations that seem to appear in the comics, but it makes note that one of the little egg boys from Scraptic Island, specifically the one in the middle, Benedict, seems to have legs that came from a Heavy type robot with those kind of flat feet and with the little springs instead of legs.
Yeah, I see that.
Heavy is very springy. He kind of looks like a small little nuclear missile in a way.
I'm looking at a picture of him now. He reminds me of a Beyblade I had when I was younger because you know how Beyblades are tops, but this one, it
Let it
had like
rip.
the green plastic part that would actually like spin, and it connected to a spring, and that was connected to the rest of the Beyblade.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it actually had like a springy base. Did it ever come into play? No, I think like one time it did because we threw it in a match and it bounced over the other Beyblade and the other Beyblade just went right into the gutter.
Oh my gosh. I see that there's also references made to Bomb as well. He makes a cameo appearance in the Minecraft Sonic the Hedgehog DLC.
Oh boy.
As a little thing in Tails' lab, apparently. Cute little guy. But like, there is some information about the members of the Chaotix here that's mentioned either in the manual of Knuckles Chaotix or just on like the wiki page for the characters, which I don't really know exactly where they get the information from. You tell me, Lycos, according to Charmy B's wiki page, how old is he?
6.
According to the biography in the manual of the game, surprisingly sophisticated for his 16 years, Charmy came to the island in search of new types of flowers and found a ton of trouble, but he handles things in his usual quick, cool, and charming way. With that image, does that look like a 6-year-old or a 16-year-old? Because something about Charmy's eyebrows make me think that kid's seen
Yeah, that does not look like a 16-year-old. And that was in the manual for Chaotix?
Yeah, dude. At least according to the
Weird.
wiki page. So according to the manual, Charmy's actually 16. So I'm guessing they must have retconned his age at some point, or maybe there's just like a typo on the wiki page. It could be a typo on this page or a typo on the other page.
Charmy being 6, that was what was indicated in the Sonic Heroes manual.
Yeah.
Because for each character, which I thought this was actually really cool at the time, is that it had like little bios about them. It had like their ages and stuff. I liked that. That was really cool, especially because people don't really look through the manuals, and nowadays we don't even have those anymore.
I actually have a PDF of the Chaotix manual, and I'm going to try to see if I can find what they say about Charmy in here.
Weird. Yeah, it's weird that they say he's 16. Like, I'm curious if that's a typo, or maybe that was a concept they were originally going to go for, but then, like, as they want to, like, reintroduce these characters because their next iteration was Sonic Heroes, they're like, okay, maybe we should make Charmy younger to have, like, another little kid in the team. Team Sonic has one. They have Tails. Team Rose has Cream. Team Dark, if you think about it, is, I feel like you could kind of use Shadow or Omega depending on how you want to go with it, because if you're including the years that Shadow was in, you know, his tube, he's like over 50 years old. But how long has he actually been awake for? I don't know. I'd say probably like a year or so. And Omega, I would assume, is probably around that same activation age as well. So that's why I feel like you could kind of go either way with that team. The only one that wouldn't have someone like that would be Chaotix, so maybe that's why they changed Charmy's age.
Maybe. I took a look at the Japanese manual to see if I could see any translation of his age too, and I can't. I don't think they mention his age in the Japanese manual. So that might just been an English localization thing. All right, I scrolled through the 48-page manual, and I don't see any reference to his age, at least in the Japanese manual. So could just be a fluke.
And yeah, this is very weird, and I'm surprised that there's no one talking about the fact that his age has changed. Again,
Who knows,
like everywhere
man?
I'm seeing, it's like, oh yeah, in Knuckles Chaotix, Charmy was 16, but now he's 6.
Now, I think even more interesting that people aren't talking about the religious zealot that is Vector the crocodile.
What? Wait, what? How is he a religious zealot?
Quotes on the Knuckles Chaotix Sonic fandom page. Vector the crocodile, an extremely cheerful and optimistic person. However, he actually has a stronger sense of camaraderie than anyone else and has the strength and kindness to face any challenge. He believes in the existence of God, and comes to the island after hearing the news of an island of miracles. So evidently, Vector finds his way to the island of Knuckles Chaotix purely upon this idea that something miraculous is occurring by the power of God himself.
By the power of God and money, he is here.
So so we have Charmy B found his way to the island in Knuckles Chaotix because he's trying to find flowers, and he is the fastest bee alive, self-proclaimed. Vector is apparently on a mission from God. Espio goes to the island because he's interested in the legendary civilization that is on this island, because it kind of pops up after the Altar of the Emerald does some weird in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And then lo and behold, what happens in the game Knuckles Chaotix is you kind of go around as these various different characters kind of linked to each other via these two binding rings, and you go to different attractions in, I guess, Eggman's first implementation of an Eggman-based amusement park in what they call New Trogic High Zone.
Well, I thought we've had Eggman theme parks before, because did we not have one in like Sonic 2? Because didn't we have like the whole pinball stage?
I mean, I guess that's considered an amusement park, come to think of it. But I guess that feels like it's only one attraction, as opposed to, at least in New Trogic High Zone, there's like multiple attractions.
Fair.
Which take the place of stages. And the other thing I want to mention about Knuckles Chaotix, and we kind of touched upon it a little bit in some previous episodes, but this is where we see the appearance of Metal Sonic Kai, a transformation that is facilitated by this dark ring power, and also the fact that we see ancient rings that Eggman can transform into dark rings. But that, I think, is a deep dive that we can go into another time. But in addition, they have chaos rings as well. But again, ring stuff. Talk about the Chaotix.
Also, speaking of the people, I'm going to send this to you.
Please.
The original appearance of Vector.
The OG.
He was a keyboard player for the Sonic the Hedgehog band.
No way. Wait, is that like... I feel like I recognize that bunny. Was that Carodia from the Tails Adventure series?
No, Carodia wasn't pink.
Oh, you're right. White. No, it's a completely different character.
Oh
my gosh. Vector, what happened to your abs, man? He's got like pecs.
He's
great. What the heck?
This chicken looks like he's out for blood.
That chicken looks like it's supposed to be Guy Fieri. He's just like, I'm gonna get myself out of this Sonic band and start my own restaurant. I'm taking y'all to Flavor Town.
And the worst part, this is official. This was a concept they had when they were doing development on Sonic the Hedgehog, but then they scrapped
Interesting. The Sonic the Hedgehog band. Double exclamation point. So what else do we got about the OG Chaotix? I think a character that we don't really talk about too much, because we only see him again in Sonic Mania, is Mighty the Armadillo. And aside from he's in Chaotix and he can throw people, pretty much all I know about him.
Yeah, I will admit, I thought he was a part of like Team Chaotix, because again, he was introduced in this game, but the more I read about it, no, he's not. He's literally just a guy.
Yeah, even according to this little wiki page, his reason for being at the island during the events of Knuckles Chaotix is totally by chance. He's just a dude.
I guess he didn't get along nicely enough with Vector, Espio, and Charmy, because they are the ones who, I guess, after the events of Knuckles Chaotix, they actually found like the Team Chaotix detective agency, and Mighty just kind of ducks off and does his own thing.
Yeah, he just up and leaves. And I don't think Mighty appears until, again, Sonic Mania, but I wonder if it's anywhere else too. Yeah, no, it's Sonic Mania. A little bit of Sonic Generations.
He does appear in Sonic Generations. Throughout City Escape, there are posters, like missing persons posters of him. It says missing since 1993.
Dude, that's hilarious. I forgot about that, because I was literally playing Generations yesterday, because I've been streaming that recently, and I forget that you can find the posters there for, I think, Mighty, Ray, and Espio, I think.
Also, it's hilarious because on Mighty's poster, they misspell armadillo.
Do they really?
Yes.
I didn't even realize that.
And also, funny enough, I think through City Escape in Generations, you can actually find like billboards advertising for the Team Chaotix detective agency. Like it's like a bunch of
it's possible.
It's like a bunch of footprints, and it's like a magnifying glass over them. It's like, I know it says something like, do you want the truth? And at the bottom it just says like Team Chaotix detectives.
Oh, you know, dude, when I was playing this last night, I remember seeing a poster that had like footprints and a magnifying glass asking for the truth, and I dismissed it. I was like, I don't know what the heck this is.
No,
I did not realize that was a Chaotix poster.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't realize that.
Also,
that's awesome.
I'm surprised that they could afford to put up a billboard, because it's notorious that Team Chaotix is not doing well financially.
Hey, maybe one of the reasons why they're not doing well financially is because they're spending their marketing budget on a single billboard in City Escape, which we really haven't been to since Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
In their defense, though, at least like when you're playing it in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, it's a fairly busy street.
Fair.
Like you got lots of street parking going on, you got cars going both directions, and then you have an oversized gun truck just mow down everything on that street.
Hey, Lycos, it's the street cleaner. They're just doing their job.
It's the government street cleaner smashing down every car on the street.
Yep. And when it comes out with the little saw blades and stuff like it does in Sonic Generations, it's just cleaning the streets of more than just trash. Who did we miss? We're talking about Bomb. We talked about Heavy.
We haven't
We
talked
didn't
about
talk about
SBO
Knuckles.
or Charmy or
Oh, true.
or Knuckles. You were right. You were correct.
Well, we did a whole episode. Well, I guess we did an episode on the Echidna tribes.
Yeah, we didn't.
Not much on Knuckles.
We didn't talk much about Knuckles though.
So Charmy Bee, we talked about a little bit. He's apparently the first insect to cross the speed of sound.
Wow.
And as opposed to being Charmy the Bee, he is Charmy Bee. I don't know if that's a significant piece of detail or not.
I remember we were kind of joking about because Charmy, one of his techniques is he stings his opponents, which, if you know anything about bees, he should kind of perish after doing that because the stinger falls out and then, like, all of his organs just kind of fall out his butt.
But then, like,
But
if
he's
Charmy is,
fine.
maybe that's because Charmy Bee is just like a last name. So he's not really a bee, he's more like a wasp because his stinger doesn't come out of his butt when he uses it.
Or, I like my brain's other theory is that there is a hive of bees where all of like the male worker bees are literally just Charmy Bee. So every time we see Charmy, it's actually a different Charmy because they're all the same. They just redeploy a bee once the current Charmy Bee passes on.
I've got to think about the implications for SBO and Vector the Crocodile being like,
They have no
they sent another replacement.
No, the worst
Hi,
part.
guys!
No, the worst part is they don't know.
Oh, they don't even know.
They don't even know that there's just like a pile of dead Charmies like behind their
gosh.
office.
And then, like, not even Charmy realizes that he keeps perishing because, in actuality, the hive of Charmy bees is a hive mind.
Exactly.
So none of them have a sense of individuality.
Exactly.
I like to think that maybe during a one-off conversation at the Chaotix headquarters, like, Vector is trying to spread the good word of Jesus Christ to Charmy Bee at some point, and he responds, like, with, "We understand," and Vector being like, "What do you mean, we?" And Charmy being like, I said I. I understand.
Oh, the royal we.
The royal we. I was like, sure, dog. Sure, dog.
Sure, dog. Yeah. So, you want to go to church? Because
Charmy, are you baptized by chance? I can help.
like, Vector just knocked on your door. Hi there. Do you have time to be baptized?
Do you have time to talk about our Lord and Savior? Close his door.
If he
that's the
knocked
case,
on
then
my door, I'd just be like, sorry, man, I do a Sonic the Hedgehog podcast. I'm not going. Close his door.
Charmy is apparently a hive mind of bees. Vector is a religious zealot. The heck is SBO? He's a ninja, right? I don't know why he's a ninja. Like I said before, the reason he came to this island and Knuckles Chaotix to begin with is he's interested in the legendary civilization and decides to visit and then gets caught up in the, quote, commotion. I know he's portrayed as being kind of like ninja-like with the use of like the kunai and stuff like that. I don't know where he gets it from.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if we have like a background on him. Like I don't see like a concept thing.
I realized that they changed SBO's colors a bit because his shoes used to be green and so were his spines.
Oh yeah, and now they're just straight purple.
Yeah.
And also, it looks like comparing like his original art to like how he is nowadays, it looks like they made him a tad darker.
A little bit.
Like he's
or it
less,
might
like-
be the washed out style of the manuals of the time.
That's fair.
Because they all kind of had like a lighter color scheme to them.
Actually, yeah, I
Both
think
has,
that
like-
might be the manual because I'm looking at this gif of Espio. I guess he's supposed to be like dizzy or confused, so he's kind of like holding his face.
Yeah. I found that gif on the wiki.
Yeah, and I see a bunch of these.
funny.
I love them all spinning. Vector is probably my favorite.
Something about Vector just like spinning around. Oh, dude, and you should see his animation for spin dash in Knuckles Chaotix.
Oh?
Because you know how most characters just become like a spinning ball?
Yeah.
Well, Vector's long, so
Yeah.
he becomes a spinning donut.
Did they try to make him like the Homer Simpson of Sega?
Well, like, I don't know, but like I watched a bit of gameplay of Knuckles Chaotix, and like when everybody else is trying to run around, Vector is like hanging on by a hand and being like, oh my god, like I'm being left behind.
Huh.
So I don't know if he's canonically fast.
Well, that would make sense if he's not, because, like, at least in the portrayal of, like, Sonic Heroes and, like, other games where there's different, like, classes of character, he's always been a power type. And the power types are not traditionally fast because
That's fair.
Knuckles isn't that fast either. Like the only time we make him like fast,
Except
like
when he
keep up
is.
with Sonic, I feel like that's more of like a game plot that kind of thing where it's just like, okay,
like a game mechanic.
Exactly, because it's like, okay, otherwise there's no way he's gonna be able to keep up.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Keep trying to read up on SPO, trying to see like why he has a ninja background. Like I feel like the only reason he has that is because like traditionally, like you think chameleons, and it's like, oh, they can turn invisible. And it's like, oh, what would really benefit from being able to turn invisible? Oh, a ninja. And also that kind of plays into like his calm personality versus like Vector and Charmy, which are both a little chaotic to say the least. Because,
oh yeah, dude.
well, okay, for Charmy it makes sense because he is 6 nowadays.
He's a kid.
Yeah, he is a
basically.
Child. Vector is, for lack of a better word, he's a dingus.
He's got it where it counts.
Yeah, he's
got
got a good heart.
And the soul.
But he's not the sharpest knife in the crayon box.
What did you just say?
I comboed a couple of things and said the like the sharpest tool in the shed. I call him the sharpest knife in the crayon box.
Yeah, I got that. Why is there a knife in the crayon box?
I don't know, man. Like, listen, isn't there?
Do you not worry for Charmy B at all?
Now, well, listen, there's an entire hive of Charmy B. We're gonna be fine.
Oh, we've got plenty more. That's a good point. Let the bee play with the knives. It's fine.
Exactly.
What's he gonna do? Sting himself with cutlery?
So I'm just reading up on SPO here, and I'm like, it's like, oh yeah, he's a lover of traditional ways. So I'm like, yeah, that tracks. It's like he plays a shamisen. It's the instrument he plays in the team attack.
Oh,
he's confused by computers and audio video equipment. And
is he
also,
really?
I forgot. He is fluent in 17 different languages. I forgot about that because we talked about that in Murders of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, yeah.
Because that came up in, I believe it's one of the dialogues when you're in the train cart that he's in. I think it's like the library cart or something. Because I don't remember the context, but I remember it came up. I want to say he's also a fast reader. He would read books and then purposely spoil the ending for other people just to mess with them. Actually, yeah, that did come up because one of the books he was reading was the manual for the train, and they start asking him questions. So he's like, "Oh yeah, it's this on page like 300 something," and we're like, "What?"
How the heck
it's like,
do you know
"Oh yeah,
that?
I read really quickly."
SPO, I feel like, is as close to the notion of a trained assassin that we get.
Yes,
without explicitly stating that he kills people.
Yeah, like I feel like the reason they went the ninja route is because you can't really go assassin for a character in a kid's game. Assassins are not great. They kill for a living.
Yeah.
You don't want to promote that.
People don't die in Sonic except for Sonic and maybe Blaze the Cat, or I guess not.
Or Charmy.
Or Charmy. The many Charmy.
Yep. So I feel like if SPO did kill, I feel like he may have stopped after being a part of Team Chaotix, because I feel like that would be against Vector's moral code.
Nah, that's fair.
Because he is the moral compass of this organization.
Of course it would be Vector. He's the one who's got a connection to the Lord.
Sorry, SPO, the Lord does not condone killing. You can't do that anymore, man. Come on.
Don't forget the golden rule.
Kill first, ask questions never.
Charmy's like, we care for each other. Yeah, what he said. SPO is a ninja, finds himself on the island. Vector is a zealot, finds himself on the island. Charmy is fast insect hive mind, finds himself on island. Knuckles is a dude trying to find the emeralds. And then what we had? We had Mighty, who's just a dude. And I think that for the most part, covers at least all the characters that we find significantly in Knuckles Chaotix as it pertains to how the Team Chaotix actually came together. Now, Lycos, I know you were doing some research on how Chaotix kind of functions as a team after the events of Knuckles Chaotix, and I guess kind of further than the events of Sonic Heroes as well.
Like, they do have a decent reputation. It's just work is almost always rather dry, so it's amazing they're still in business. Not only is work kind of hard to get, but sometimes Vector does freaking charity cases, so he will do work free of charge. Great for him for having a moral compass, but bad if you're running a business. Like, that is why there are some variations of like their detective agency where they actually have a cafe business on the side.
Dude, that makes me think even more that Vector is absolutely the kind of guy who would go to the soup kitchen on the weekends in the name of some religious deity. What a devout Christian crocodile.
Also, something kind of horrifying that I didn't even think about with that image I sent you earlier, that
Oh,
means
sure.
that Vector
With
is
the
one
band.
of the oldest characters in Sonic existence. Because that was when they were designing, like doing the concept stuff for Sonic.
Interesting. And that image you sent me, is it explicit that that is Vector the
Yes.
crocodile? Or
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, yeah, he's one of the oldest characters.
Dang.
Yeah.
So we've had Vector for a while.
Yeah, Vector is thus among the oldest characters of the series alongside Flicky, Eggman, and Sonic himself.
That's fair, because Flicky's a name for basically the small little woodland
And
creatures.
we did have a Flicky kind of in that art, because I have a feeling that's what that chicken is.
I bet it is.
Because they...
Yeah, dude. Wow, Vector's old.
Yeah.
Makes sense that he's trying to get it in with vanilla.
Even though, what, his canon age is like 20 and she's 36, if I recall correctly.
Hey, dude, we're all functioning adults here.
Hey, man, don't judge.
Want to come back to my place? So, wait, what kind of missions have the Chaotix been on?
So one of their biggest jobs was in the events of Sonic Heroes, where they get a mysterious parcel, and it's like, oh, you will get paid handsomely if you do this job. Lo and behold, it was Eggman, and then he tried to skip out on the bill, basically, because he's like, oh, I'll pay you once I rule the world.
Wow.
So then Charmy stings the heck out of him. And then after that, that's when he does like the, oh, I was locked in here because, and then, oh, it's Metal Sonic. We already talked about this. The next time they actually had a job was in Shadow the Hedgehog, where they're doing some research. They're trying to get information about Gerald and Gunn, and also the Ultimate Lifeform Project. Charmy was sent to Prison Island to collect some floppy disks. Espio was sent to hack into, I believe it was Eggman's network, and then Vector was sent to the Space Colony Ark to go into the computer room.
Hold up a second.
Yes.
Didn't you say that in one of the articles they said that Espio is not good with computers?
Yeah, he's not.
And why the heck is he the one hacking the
I
system?
don't know. He's trying to
Interesting.
hack it, not doing very well. Then Shadow appears and a portal opens into basically like, I'm just gonna call it the digital world for intensive purposes.
Uh-huh.
And Espio follows him in and then is able to hack, and I guess that's easier for him because it's not like a computer screen of code, like it's actually like structures and whatnot. How does this happen? How does this make sense? I have no idea. I'm just trying to put pieces together from what Sonic
It's
gave
chaos
us.
control, obviously, Lycos.
Obviously, it's chaos control. Beyond like their pieces of research and what they're trying to do, like we don't know much about this job. We don't know who hired them, how much they're getting paid. We do know that this ultimately helps like the plot of the game, because near the end of the game, one of them does some percussive maintenance, and that's where we get the broadcast all over the world from Gerald Robotnik, basically explaining the true purpose of Shadow the Hedgehog and the Eclipse Cannon, you know, to blow up Black Doom. And also this
Naturally.
gives the encouraging words that Shadow needs. So it's like, oh, I'm not depressed anymore. Bang! Bad alien, bad!
Depresso, fixed. Thanks, Grandpa.
Then they appear in Sonic Rivals 2, which again is a racing game that we've actually talked about quite a bit. So,
We've kind of danced around Sonic Rivals too.
so in this one, they are sent on a job to investigate missing Chow. And
Oh, whoa, wait, that's because, what's his face is eating them.
yeah, Ifrit is getting fed Chow by
Oh.
Eggman Nega. So
Oh,
their
man.
first suspect is actually Silver. So Espio starts
course.
hanging out with Silver to basically try and figure out if he's the reason they're disappearing. Espio learns that Silver is making Chow disappear because he's trying to protect Chow, because
Oh, okay.
he also knows that some Chow have gone missing. And then they find out it was Eggman Nega, and they, you know, beat the snot out of him. Save the world. You know,
All right.
normal
All right.
stuff.
Naturally. So what we got so far is they go on rescue missions. It's one of the things they do. They're finding
Wait.
missing people.
Which, I mean, that's not too out there considering
Maybe it's-
in Sonic Heroes, they actually
Yeah.
had missions about that. Like, I believe their first job is finding 10 hermit crabs. And I know
Oh,
in
yeah.
the jungle stage, you have to find 10 Chow.
Yeah, their goals were very unique as opposed to the goals of the other
It wasn't
teams.
get to the end of the stage. It was accomplish this objective, either like find X items or collect X rings, or
Yeah.
in one case it was don't get detected, which that one you really needed SBO's invisibility shtick. Although I don't believe they have a job here, but they actually make an appearance in Sonic Colors, specifically the
Do they
DS
really?
version.
Oh, I see.
Actually,
It looks like they're scouting out on Planet Wisp.
Yeah, actually, I was wrong. They are on a job because they're trying to collect a bounty on Dr. Eggman's head, which honestly, that tracks. Like, he's done so much stuff that, yeah, they're
Assassin agency?
or maybe not even assassination, just like, you know, like a bounty hunter kind of deal. Like, you know, like dead or alive.
You misunderstand me, Lycos. I want this to be an assassination. I want Eggman's head on my wall. And I will hire the Chaotix and pay them handsomely. Only after I rule the world, naturally.
Of course.
Naturally.
They were also hired to do a job in Team Sonic Racing. They were actually...
That one I know nothing about.
So they were hired by Tails to investigate Dodon Pa, who's kind of like the...
He's the Tanuki guy.
Yeah, the Tanuki kind of like organizing everything. This game actually doesn't have like Team Chaotix as a full team. They have a different team, which is formed by Vector, Blaze, and Silver, called Team Vector, because Vector participates in the races, and while he is actually kind of participating in the races, SBO and Charmy are actually working in the background, also trying to get more information on Dodonpa.
I didn't realize that there was this like subplot of investigating Dodonpa in Team Sonic Racing.
It's absolutely
and you
crazy.
know, I don't know much about the Team Sonic Racing world too, but I know just as of a few days ago they announced Team Sonic, I think Sonic Racing Cross Worlds or something.
Yes. Who knows? That
what
might actually be out by the time this goes up. Who knows? I know.
When is that coming out?
I don't know. I don't know when it's coming out, but I know I've been seeing a lot of ads for it recently. Oh, it just says 2025.
Sometime this year. Looks cool, not gonna lie.
Unfortunately, with Team Chaotix's gig in investigating Dodonpa, they do kind of get found out by like the rest of the gang. And then they find out Dodonpa is actually the president, or was the president of Donpa Motors, and is also the king of a planet called Donpa Kingdom, which I misread initially. I thought it said Dokapon, which is a completely different game.
Completely different game. Excellent gameplay, though.
Yeah, I've been playing that recently.
So, wait, were we just introduced to a whole nother planet in the Sonic series by way of Team Sonic Racing?
Yes.
Interesting.
And we found the king of the planet, King Vegeta. I mean, Dodonpa.
Ah, what's the difference? Dude, have you seen this Dodonpa guy?
He kind of freaks me out.
He's constantly caressing his mustache. And he also has that look of, I am staring into infinity constantly.
Yeah, also, it looks like his skin is gold, because it looks like he's got like his hat, like the gold part on the bottom of the hat, it looks like skin to me. That could just be like the brim of the hat. And I'm just like,
oh, I see.
Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of weird. Like, does he actually have gold skin? Because he's wearing like a full covering suit.
I mean, like, he's a Tanuki, right? And don't Tanukis like canonically have gold parts of their body?
Not canonically gold, but they do have very enlarged parts of their body.
Like mustache hairs.
Yeah.
Or what else have we got on the Chaotix?
Their last job here on their page was, they actually offered to help out Gun, surprisingly enough. Gun hired them to try and find out about the Marauders, i.e. the Nocturnus clan in Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood.
I didn't realize they were involved in that.
Which... that does make sense, because again, Gun is like a huge, massive organization. They don't have time to like try and like have agents to do research, especially if their resources are spread thin. So they're like, okay, these guys have a decent rep. We'll hire them to do this job. Plus, if Sonic and gang are involved, they're already tightly knit with that group, so it's fine.
Might as well hire the anthropomorphic animal creature detective agency to deal with the potentially anthropomorphic marauder onslaught with our other anthropomorphic animal creature protagonists.
And also, in terms of trust, in case they bumped into like Sonic and Friends might trust Team Chaotix a little more than like some of their other anthropomorphic agents like Shadow and Rouge, who, you know, they're known for backstabbing. More Rouge than Shadow, but still.
Hey, you know, Rouge has got her own demons and motivations, I suppose.
Team Chaotix also appears in Sonic X. I don't like when they appear in this show. know.
Yeah, because I know you watched all of Sonic X, so what's your opinion on that?
So they appear in like 2 episodes, one of which they are hired by Vanilla to check on Cream and make sure she's okay.
Makes sense.
And Vector, wanting to get in really good with Vanilla, because he totally likes her, he's like, no, we're not sent to check up on Cream. We have to bring her home.
Oh, Vector.
Yeah, miscommunication, shenanigans ensue. They jokingly fight with the other heroes because they're like, we need Cream back, blah, 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 blah. Even though SPO's like, that's not a part of our job. We were told just to check on her. And Vector's like, read the subtext, man.
Vector's cool. He understands the subtext.
And then they appear again in like the last arc of the series. Basically, they have to bring a bunch of stuff to Chris, the human. Okay, so they're in Sonic's world. Chris's family was worried about him, so they sent a bunch of junk to Sonic's world for Chris, including a freaking spaceship.
Dude, classic. You might as well. Your son is out there.
I don't know how they sent a freaking spaceship over. Chaotix fly that to the Typhoon. Cyclone thinks that the Chaotix crew are a bunch of evil aliens that they're fighting. So they're there for a little while. They deliver the stuff, and then they realize that Tails has a thing for Cosmo, so they try and play matchmaker. Well, actually, correction. Vector really tries to play matchmaker. SBO is against this whole thing because he's the brains. Charmy is along for the ride. At one point, Vector's like, nah, he's got it. He's fine. He doesn't need my help.
I facilitated the hand of this relationship, but now they have to work on it on their own.
Yeah, it's a dumb episode. Like, it's a shame because I love this team. I think they're cool. I want to see them do more cool stuff, but at least in Sonic X, I don't know, their episodes always left a bad taste in my mouth because I'm like,
Nah, that's fair.
Just annoying.
Evidently, they also have some missions that take place in the comic series as well. And although I'm not as familiar on it, at least in some cases, they are sent to find Eggman. They are sent to find these quote-unquote horned monsters, which happen to be the Zeti from Sonic Lost World.
Yep.
And then they also apparently have a run-in with, I think, one of the characters from the series, Clutch the Opossum, which I'm only just recently getting familiar with because of one of the issues of the Sonic comic that I picked up the other day, that Anna picked up for me specifically. So I'm not as familiar with Clutch nor the comic stuff, but they are evidently one of those side character pieces that kind of come around and do stuff.
I will say with them trying to find Eggman, it's actually interesting. Did you read up on them finding Eggman at all?
No, not really. I did most of my research on the game.
So this was after the Eggman War. At this point, this is where Eggman, unbeknownst to everyone.
This is after Sonic Forces, right?
Yeah, he has amnesia. When the Chaotix are trying to find him, they find Orbot and Cubot and basically interrogate them trying to find Eggman, but that's a dead lead. They find out that Eggman is living in this village and is actually like a manager of this village. They are keeping their eyes on him because they think, the amnesia thing is a bluff. The village actually gets attacked by Badniks. Sonic's here as well at this point, and they're like, oh man, it was Eggman. He's not amnesia. He knows. After the Badniks are defeated, they kind of notice that Eggman was still like member of this village. Like he was trying to help out and everything, and scared and worried. He actually wanted nothing to do with these machines.
Interesting.
Actually, before this, they had a conundrum because they actually started to believe that Eggman did have amnesia and had changed as a person. So they had the moral conundrum of, do we penalize this man for a past he doesn't remember?
Now, did you find in your the research specifically for this incident that at this time Eggman was going by Mr. Tinker?
No.
Then the events of also Dr. Eggman, amnesiac, doing good in the village, going by Mr. Tinker.
No, it doesn't say anything about that here or from what I have seen.
Interesting, because that sounds super duper similar to Mr. Tinker, which is basically just good Eggman. And this dude's like a really happy looking guy. Again, I don't know whether what you're describing is the same thing as what this guy is, but like he's just a good pink and green Eggman.
Aw, that's cute.
And he creates another character in at least the comic series, Belle the Tinkerer, which is
her I'm familiar
one of the other
with because she's kind of like another Badnik.
Very similar to like Tails doll in a way, in that she's another kind of mechanical creation.
She gives me the Pinocchio vibes.
Yeah, and I get that, albeit with a little round nose as opposed to a long one. I guess Espio's got a long enough nose for the rest of us, just to bring it back to Chaotix territory.
But yeah, so basically because Eggman's kind of turned over a new leaf, and they admit they shouldn't really penalize him because what is the justice there in penalizing someone for their past that they genuinely genuinely don't remember? Because that is a huge like ethical conundrum.
Not fair. And by the way, I found on specifically Dr. Eggman's wiki page that after the Eggman War, he wound up in Windmill Village and took up the name Mr. Tinker.
Okay.
So this is the same person.
Okay. But
Didn't know
so
that,
basically they ended up leaving him alone and closing the case. Plus side was they still got paid for it.
Yeah, I think I remember specifically in that section that this was one of the jobs that they definitely got paid for. We like to see that. They got the finder's fee, I believe.
Yes. That was like all of like their main jobs.
So I think that pretty much covers it for both Knuckles Chaotix at a glance, as well as Team Chaotix as it exists between Vector, Espio, and Charmy B. It looks like there's more info on at least Charmy, but only as we go into comic stuff.
Yeah, because again, they're not in too many of the games, or if they are, they don't have like a huge like main plot.
I mean, even still, they are in a shocking number of games, all things considered. Like we had Sonic Rivals 2, we had actual plot points in Team Sonic Racing, Sonic Heroes, Knuckles Chaotix, Shadow the Hedgehog. Exactly. So, like, that's a lot more appearances than characters like... I feel like they make more appearances than Blaze the Cat.
Yeah, which I feel like that makes sense because she lives in another dimension, and also she is a princess and in charge of things, versus them, they're three Schmitz with not much work coming in.
Hey, but at least they have each other.
Exactly. And they have
and that's beautiful.
And they have their cafe. Which actually the cafe part does make an appearance in Sonic X. I forgot.
I want to know more about this cafe. It's literally just called Team Chaotix Cafe.
Yeah.
The Croc Canteen, also known as Cafe Chaotix.
Yeah. Yeah, Espio is a bartender. I remember in Sonic X, they kicked out Eggman at one point, and then Eggman came back in, and Vector's like, let him in. And Espio's like, okay, whatever, you're the boss. And I want to say Eggman asked for a prune juice and a raw egg. So yeah, he had like a shot of prune juice, cracked an egg, and just put it in the prune juice and then shook it up, I think.
Oh, a wiki page for that episode. The bottles of wine that Vector and Espio served to Eggman were changed to orange juice and prune juice in the dub.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's a bar. It's alcohol. You can't have that in a kid show.
Dude. What man.
Alcohol was it originally?
Just wine, it says.
Oh, okay. Wine and like a raw egg mixed into it. This is a question for you with your bartending background. Is that like a drink that people have? Is that like a normal thing or no?
Putting a raw egg in wine? Not particularly.
Because
you can mix it in certain ways, but together that's kind of
a weird,
it's almost prairie oyster territory. Without all the other stuff on top of the egg. You can shake drinks with egg white and egg yolk and stuff, but just kind of putting it in there is not typical.
Okay, because I was watching this episode.
Trying to get your protein, I guess.
I watched this episode. I actually wanted to ask you about this, but I'm like, no, I'll wait for him to get here and then I'll ask.
List of foods that can cause constipation and how to prevent it. So wait, maybe Eggman is just constipated.
So part of why he has this drink at the end, to give some context, is he was working with the evil aliens. Basically, they wanted him to kill Sonic. So he set up a decoy and blew that up so that way Sonic could get away. So I think the idea at the end there is he's drinking, A, to kind of celebrate. He's like, cool, Sonic's still alive, because if anyone's taking him out, it's going to be me. And B, the moment the aliens find out what I did, I'm going to die.
Dude, actually, I'm doing a little bit more digging into what Eggman is drinking, and I found a post on r/Sonic the Hedgehog saying that the Japanese sub says that Eggman is drinking a black vinegar drink with a raw egg.
Is that...
as opposed to it being wine or another spirit. And typically, so a prairie oyster cocktail is made with raw egg, Worcestershire sauce, vinegar, and or hot sauce, salt, and ground pepper, where you quite literally take this stuff and you put it on top of a raw egg. So it's likely he's drinking some sort of riff on a prairie oyster.
Interesting.
Which also makes an appearance in, I want to say it's Cowboy Bebop. Supposedly, it is a cure for hangovers. So maybe Eggman looks a little beaten up in that scene, so maybe he's taking it as a means to kind of heal himself a little bit.
That is funny though, because you go to a bar for a thing to cure your hangover. So that means he was drinking before he got to the bar?
I mean, maybe Eggman wasn't drinking. It looked like he was in the midst of a fight. So maybe his logic was, well, if it cures hangovers, maybe it'll cure my headache.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We can only interpret so much.
So we end here. Beautiful Chaotix finding themselves between togetherness on an island, togetherness in the detective agency, and togetherness serving Eggman, I guess, whatever the hell he wants.
Yep. Having a nice drink at their bar side gig.
Cafe Chaotix.
Hey, they're detectives you want on your side. Because the truth
I
can
guess.
run but not hide.
You have the lyrics pulled up in front of you like this?
I don't. I just know this song by heart.
Dude, kudos.
Hey, man, of the team themes, they're like my favorite theme.
That's fair. That's fair. So do you have an idea of where we want to go next with this? I guess we'll leave that open-ended for now until we figure things out for next week.
Yep.
So if y'all have got an idea for what to cover next on the LoreX podcast, something Sonic related, feel free to let us know in the comments.
That'll be it for this one, everyone. So, as always, guys, thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.
Team
Peace.
Chaotix!
The detectives you want on your side.
Chaotix!
Chaotix.